Let's take this disc herniation discussion one step further and get into some of these real reasons why people continue to have issues with disc herniations. And a lot of this is going to be uncomfortable because it is going to point at personal responsibility as one of the main drivers of continued issues. We already know from the research that the size of the disc herniation does not determine in any way how much pain a person will have. So if it's not the disc and the size of the disc injury, then what is driving the problem? And there's something driving the symptoms. And this is where most people get this completely wrong. And this is where most people refuse to look, and it's at themselves. Most of the people out there are going to think that it's a structural problem. The disc bulge is pressing on a nerve, let's say, and it's causing pain. That's the model that exists. It's clean, it's simple, and it's incomplete. Because what we saw in these recent studies about disc herniations is the bigger the herniation doesn't mean that there's more pain. It doesn't even mean that there's worse outcomes over time. So the structure alone doesn't explain how a person responds to the injury and how they feel in the long run. So let's look at the real drivers, and it's the system. What the research points to instead is pain is being driven by your whole system, not just the disc. We're not talking, or now we're going to be talking about, inflammation, immune response, the sensitivity of the nervous system. And this is why two people can have the exact same MRI and can have completely different experiences. One system is calm, one person has a calm system, and the other person has a very reactive system. And this study is going to bring up something very important, things that fall into the category of neuroinflammation. There's cytokines, immune activity, and these things can irritate the nerves in the area. It's not just the physical pressure of the disc. So now it's not just, something's touching the nerve, it's how reactive is the environment around the injury, around the nerve. That's the key thing. And this is the part that nobody wants to hear, and nobody is told typically, because now it's not just your disc. The problem is you. It's about you. It's about your habits. It's about your lifestyle. It's about your capacities. All of these things influence inflammation, recovery, sensitivity. And if you are not training, if you're sleeping poorly, if you're eating like garbage, if you're excessively overweight, if you're terribly deconditioned, you're creating a system that is more reactive, a system that is more sensitive, a system that is more likely to produce pain. Then there's another layer, right? Somebody told you about the MRI results, you went and had it done, and the way that people talk to you about the MRI plays a factor too. When they start to say things like, this is severe, this is degenerative, this is bad, now you're afraid of everything, now you're going to start moving differently, now you're going to avoid everything, and now your system becomes even more sensitive. And now it's not just physical, it's neurological, it's psychological, it's the whole system. And if you look back at the original issue I was discussing, the size of the disc herniation doesn't matter, because the disc is only one piece of the system. And for most people, it's not even the limiting factor. It's the rest of the system that is. So what are you supposed to do with all this information I'm giving you? Stop obsessing over the image and the imaging report. It's not going to get you anywhere. Start addressing you. Start addressing the system. Start to find a way to train. Find a way to improve your conditioning, improve the quality of your sleep. Start to eat better foods. You know what they are. Start reducing excess body weight. Start exposing yourself to movements and loads that you can tolerate. And this is how we start to change the inflammation. This is how we change the sensitivity. This is how we change your tolerance. And then we can change your experience around this disc injury. You can have a disc herniation with a strong and capable body, or you can have a disc herniation with a weak and reactive system. The disc does not decide that, you decide that. So it's not just about your MRI, it's about the entire system that you've built around the MRI. You need to fix that, and then everything else will start to change.